We're going to break down 5 players that we would be willing to trade away first round future draft picks for if we were ready to win a championship this year. We got 3 wide receivers, a running back, and a tight end to help you out. Let's jump right into it. Let's start with that first wide receiver. John, tell us, who is the first wide receiver you'd be willing to trade away a future first round pick for to go get right now if you were trying to win a title?
Yeah, and like you said, this video is going to be for contenders, but if you are rebuilding, still pay attention here because you may own some of these players and you may be able to sell them at good value. But let's kick it off with Michael Pittman of the Indianapolis Colts, who I really think is in just a very strong position to finish out this season at a great value overall. And that's really what we're looking at here for contenders, is trying to finish this season as strong as possible with as many good pieces in those wide receiver slots, which a lot of you guys are going to have 3 wide receiver slots, but also those flex spots as well. And focusing on Pittman here, having just a fantastic season, as is the entirety of this Colts offense right now. He's number 10 in total red zone targets, number 4 in touchdowns amongst all wide receivers, and he has scored 14.9 or more fantasy points in 5 out of 7 games on the season. And with all the success that the Colts are having running the football right now, this is still a very pass-heavy team. They're currently 6th in the league in total passing. I mean, really, Michael Pittman has just been one of these players who you know is going to be extremely consistent on a week-in, week-out basis. You're going to be able to trust him in your starting lineup. Gonna get you double-digit fantasy points almost every single season, or excuse me, every single week. And he is the true number 1 wide receiver on this Colts team. I know Tyler Warren's getting some pretty good ownership in this passing game, but ultimately at wide receiver, it's Pittman for the most part here, and he's just age 28, so he's kind of coming into that prime age at the wide receiver position, still on contract through 2026 with the Colts, and the way he's playing right now, he could easily get an extension, so I don't think that this move will hurt your dynasty team long-term, but I certainly think it's going to help it in the short term, and I would definitely give out a future first-round pick for Michael Pittman.
Yeah, Pittman's a great one here because, like you said, 28 years old, still should have at least, you got to think a couple, maybe multiple good years still left in this Colts offense that now looks very good with Daniel Jones under center, who you got to think is probably going to be there for a while after what he's doing this year. So definitely love the Pittman pick. Now, this next one, I certainly love Davante Adams this year. I mean, certainly if you are gunning for that title this year, I think he's a great pick. But also, like you said, if you've got Davante Adams and you're not near a title, this probably is a guy you want to trade away. So tell us why he is such a good, trade target for a team that's contending right now. And I guess on the flip side, why teams might want to trade him away.
Yeah, I mean, we could start with the flip side here. He is age 32, so we know he's towards the end of his career. It's pretty unclear here if he's going to maybe try and play with a different team other than the Rams. His contract is through 2026, but I would imagine we're pretty close to the end here with Davante Adams. So he's having a fantastic season. If you guys want to try and sell him for a first-round pick, I think that's a great value, but I also think he is worth trading a first-round pick for. I mean, Puka Nacua, although he missed this past week, he's dealing with that injury. Of course, he's been absolutely dominant this year, but you look at everything Puka Nacua has been doing. With all that being done, Davante Adams is still number 6 amongst all wide receiver in targets, number 1 in red zone targets, 2nd overall in touchdowns scored, number 9 in expected fantasy points per game, and he's on one of the pass-heaviest teams in the NFL, and the Rams are currently 4th amongst all teams in total passing yards. He's had 13.8 or more fantasy points in 5 out of 7 games on the year so far. So if you're a contender, I mean, this is the exact type of player that you want because, once again, the consistency is going to be there. We know that this Rams team is going to throw the football a ton, and even with throwing it a ton to Puka Nacua, Davante Adams has an extreme amount of overall volume in this offense. So he's really just one of these pieces that when you're a contender, you have to look at the short term. In the season that we're in right now, this is the type of player that you want to acquire because the opposite team selling him is more than likely going to be willing to do so. So Davante Adams, 100% worth a first-round pick right now in dynasty formats.
This next guy is kind of the best of both worlds. We're talking about Jordan Addison, still young, has a lot of upside. So explain why would you be willing to give up a first to get Jordan Addison if you are contending, but also why, if you're not contending, would you take a first for Jordan Addison?
Yeah, I really just think Jordan Addison is extremely underrated. I know like the suspension off the field stuff kind of hurt his fantasy value in a draft season, but really he's just been a solid wide receiver that you can trust throughout his career. And we look, through the 3 games that he's played so far in the 2025 season, he's number 18 in total red zone targets. He's number 3 amongst all wide receivers in first read targets, number 6 in fantasy points per game, and number 4 in expected fantasy points per game, 15.1 or more fantasy points per game in each of the 3 games that he's played in so far. So you kind of look at it here, like the quarterback situation is still a bit murky. We don't really know, like in the short term or the long term, what's going on here. JJ McCarthy, Carson Wentz, and I think that could help you guys who are trying to trade for Jordan Addison potentially complete that trade, right? But Carson Wentz has shown really good chemistry with Jordan Addison in the short term here. But with all that being said, right, I just think Addison is really underrated. Really, the production has been there. You look at potential players that you could draft in the first round at the wide receiver position. Jordan Addison is going to be as productive, if not more productive, than some of those players outside of like the top tier early selections, right? So I just think Addison just straight up is worth a first round pick if you guys are contending. Now, if you guys are selling, you may kind of have to look at this as a player that you might want to hold on to because he is the youngest player that we'll talk about in today's video at age 23. Still on his rookie deal. He could be looking for a new contract soon from the Vikings. They could exercise his 5th-year option as well. So he could be kind of tied to the Vikings for a little bit longer here. So I think this is maybe the hardest player to potentially sell because I think that it's a tough player to kind of part ways with. But ultimately, that first round value in terms of a draft selection could be worth it. But once again, if you guys are contending, I do think it's worth giving up a first rounder to go ahead and acquire Jordan Addison.
Absolutely agree there. All right, now let's shift on to running back. You got one running back in mind that if you're a contender, you want to go out, you're willing to give a first for. Who is it?
I want to go with Javonte Williams of the Dallas Cowboys. Now, age 25, so still very young here on a 1-year deal, but there's some loose rumors out there that the Cowboys are already looking to bring him back on a longer-term contract here and have him back with the team for, I don't know how long here, but maybe another year or 2 years, which I think is good overall for his dynasty value being tied to this Cowboys offense led by Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb there. We also got George Pickens playing very well, who could also be looking for an extension from the Cowboys as he's on a 1-year deal. So we'll see how it all shakes out here. But yeah, I mean, Javonte has been outstanding this year. I mean, really, really good. Number 4 in total carries amongst running backs, number 4 in targets, number 5 in red zone targets, number 2 in total rushing yards, number 6 in receptions, 3rd in touchdowns, number 7 in fantasy points per game, number 4 in expected fantasy points per game. And I know that's a lot, but if you guys go look at some of the deeper analytics on Javonte Williams, I mean, really, he's ranking like top 5 amongst things that would blow some of your guys' minds. He's had 18.8 or more fantasy points per game in 5 out of the 7 games on the season. And although the Cowboys have thrown the football a lot and are a pass-first team, they're still top 10 in total rushing as well. So once again, when you're a contender, sometimes you just want to take advantage of these short-term windows. Go ahead and get a running back that you guys can trust for this season to make that push towards the playoffs and towards the fantasy championship as well. So once again, he's still pretty young here at age 25. We know this was a talented running back coming out of college. Just didn't really work out with the Broncos. I think that this could be a great kind of change of scenery that works out for the long term. So I think it's worth giving up a first rounder for. And I mean, running backs have been really good this year. They were really good last year as well. So it's a little bit tougher to trade for running backs, but I would go ahead, take the chance here. I think Javonte Williams is worth a first round selection.
All right, there you go. And then finally, a tight end, because like in most of your dynasty leagues, you still have to start tight ends. And sometimes a lot of you, you're in tight end premium leagues. So you might need a tight end for that championship push. Who should they be looking to get?
Yeah, and there's been a lot of nice, pleasant surprises at the tight end position this year and a lot of players that we could talk about. But I want to go with Tucker Kraft of the Green Bay Packers because, once again, I think that this is a player that, like, if you just want to send a first-round draft pick and nothing else for, I think that could get the deal done. And really, look at this Packers offense, right? Like, we know they're going to run the football. We know the vocal point of this offense is Josh Jacobs, and it just doesn't really feel like the next offensive player on this team is a wide receiver. They have so many different wide receivers. It feels like the next player on this team in terms of the offensive volume is Tucker Kraft. You look amongst all tight ends, he's top 10 in deep targets, red zone targets, and design targets. Like, the Packers want to get the football to Tucker Kraft. He's also number 14th in first read targets. And amongst all tight ends, once again here, number 6 in receiving yards, number 2 in yards after the catch, 3rd in touchdowns, number 6 in fantasy points per game, and expected fantasy points per game. He's only age 24, still very young here. His contract with the Packers is through 2026, but once again, this is a player that could be getting an extension soon and be with the Packers for the long term. So your tight end premium leagues, I think this is just an easy deal that you guys could get done. If you guys have depth at the tight end position and you're not contending, I think once again, he is worth trading for a first round pick. But if you're contending, you need to make that playoff push. This is a player that you guys don't just have to play at the tight end position, that you guys can move into the flex as well and get great fantasy production. So if you're contending, go ahead and make that move.
All right, there you go. There's 5 players that if you're contending, trying to win a title, go trade for one of these guys and go take home that championship. That's what we want for you guys. We want you to win your Dynasty League. So make sure you stay tuned to the channel the rest of the season here and, of course, in the offseason. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button if you're enjoying the content so you don't miss any videos. And if you have missed any of our videos, don't worry. You can find them all on our playlist right here.